Hey guys, welcome back to GameSpot's ongoing coverage, E3 2013. Sean McGinnis.
Yes.
Dan Capini.
That's you.
Destiny.
Yes.
Let's talk this thing.
Yeah, why not?
So we saw it at the press conference.
We did.
The Sony press conference. We saw it again behind closed doors. And I know you've seen the game previously as well. You've got questions that are unanswered on this.
Well,
thing.
that's the thing is that I went up to the studio a couple months ago, but I didn't actually get to see the game. They invited a whole bunch of press to the studio, but it was a lot more of just a real high level. This is our creative vision of the game. Yep. These are the ideas driving the game. We're not going to show you any gameplay right now. Here's maybe a little glimpse at what we're doing with the engine. But why not just wait until E3? But one of the things I remember most from that visit is that kept using this phrase, it's a hopeful world. It's a game driven by hope. You know, it's very hopeful. And at the time, I was like, yeah,
this is a hope game?
Yeah, it's a hopey game. It's very hopey. At the time, I was like, what does that mean? It's a first-person shooter. You need conflict. You need violence. You need strife. And not only that, but the story here is that humanity has been driven to the brink of extinction. There's all these nasty aliens. It seems pretty dire. But all of a sudden, we saw this demo, and it starts with this gorgeous, sweeping panorama shot of like this natural outdoor vista outside in Russia, and you're like, oh right, yeah, that makes sense. This place is absolutely beautiful. This is like the planet that humanity is supposed to fight for. So even though it is a first-person shooter, it's sci-fi, and it can be really dark in places, I think that's kind of where the hope comes from.
Yeah, and there's a few different influences here as we were going through. There's a little bit of Mass Effect, there's a little bit of Star Wars.
I feel a lot of Star Wars in here, you know, that kind of like classical Western sci-fi mixture set to like this orchestral music. So
based on the gameplay that they've shown so far, does that meet that initial vision that they sold to you? Was it what you expected to see from Destiny?
I mean, what I like most about, what grabbed my attention most is the way that it's like the networking that they're doing with this game is constantly grouping players together. It's like an invisible matchmaker, basically. It's like, hey, you're playing this right now, and you're teamed up with maybe one or two of your friends. Here's another guy. He's in the same spot. He's a pretty similar rank to you. I'm just going to push you guys together, and you're going to be in the same experience. And if you want to play with each other, that's cool. But
organic matchmaking.
Yeah, and if you want to just pass them on by, that's fine. It's something that, like, you know, Journey did that, where everything happened under the hood. And seeing this in action, where they're just kind of like paired up at the beginning here, and then eventually towards the end, you see them in that giant, like, 8-player shootout against the boss. That was cool because, like, at no point did they pull up a menu and say, jump into co-op play.
Or go to location, try to meet up with friends,
right?
And, you know, have the experience of having to do the partying up front.
Right, yeah. They're kind of just, they're ironing out the wrinkles of multiplayer and just kind of like, you know, it's kind of a cliche at this point, but they're really blurring the lines between single and multiplayer.
So I think this actually raised more questions than it answered for me.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that.
I also get a little bit of, maybe it's just me, but there's a little bit of Borderlands about this as well. Something about that loot quest, the first person, you know, objective-based gameplay, and then there's a little bit of MMO in Warhammer Online did these natural kind of events that would occur around the world, and if you had enough people, then they'd be doable, and if you had smaller groups, they'd take a little longer, and they'd scale accordingly. So we don't know exactly how these public events are actually going to go down, and if there's only 2 of you in an area, whether you'll kind of spawn a few more in, or because a bunch of level 20s just kind of swarm this thing, and you take it down as a group and get some loot from it. The other thing that seems cool is that it looks like each weapon has its own skill progression system.
Yeah. And a lot of them seem to be like rare weapons with their own unique names. One thing I liked was that later on in this demo, they kill one of the bosses, and there's a loot drop, and one guy picks up this really sweet light machine gun. It's got electricity bursting out of it. That one's called Thunderlord. And the other one, she picks up this raggedy old sniper rifle, and the name of that is Duct Tape Fixes Everything. That's the actual name that you see in the menu. So it definitely kind of like, Bungie has always done a really good job of blending like really serious sci-fi with this really cheeky sense of humor, and I feel like that's something that they're still doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that one as well, the weapons, obviously there's varying rarity types that we've seen. So they're taking a couple of leaves out of the MMO page again.
Yeah, and you can even see occasionally you'll see like critical hit burst above an enemy's head. So
and also there's one point here where I'm still unsure about whether you'll actually be able to use voice commands, because there's kind of this little Java-y sort of vibe with the ghost that wanders around the environment, lights up the
ghost. I should mention, I'm convinced is Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, you mentioned
sounds just like Peter Dinklage, who plays Tyrion Lannister on Game of Thrones, the TV show. Chris Waters asked them on the stage show today, and they were very coy, and they're like, we can't confirm or deny, which even convinces me even more.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a quick look at Destiny. Obviously, there's much more coming. It'll be out in 2014. Platforms?
Right now, I think all they're saying is 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4. They have not confirmed PC yet, so we'll keep an eye out on that.
That's one to watch. Stacks more coming up from GameSpot here at E3 2013. Join us on the GameSpot E3 hashtag and check in the live shows because there's stacks more coming.
That hashtag being GameSpot E3.